Every once in a while, I try to engage current topics from a perspective that I feel highlights the needs and concerns of our community. Lately, I've been seeing a trend in popular culture that showcases and celebrates individuals of African ancestry amongst European royalty. On the surface level, it can be viewed as an interesting topic, but upon further observation, it may hold an undercurrent that does harm to an already fragile community. What up, African world? It's Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you'd like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. To begin, this video is more of a think tank intended for us to share ideas, because I'm interested in hearing other perspectives on this topic. As you all know, how Afro-descendant people have been portrayed in society has been very harmful, so I want us to get more clarity on what we're seeing today, and I think you guys may be able to help me with that. Anyway, from my perspective, I want to give a little background as to where this obsession might have originated. I think one of the first major interactions between Africans and Europeans was the Moorish invasion of 711. Throughout history, there have been many Africans present in Europe, and they held various positions throughout European society. Africans, of course, engaged Europe even in ancient times. But the Moorish invasion was something very different, and it was perhaps the most dramatic. Amazigh warriors and generals, accompanied by conscripted African soldiers from West Africa, invaded Spain, and it was through this union that the Amazigh rulers were able to control the Iberian Peninsula for several dynasties. In fact, it was under their leadership that Europe was said to have come out of the Dark Ages. This would not have been possible without the conscription of West African soldiers. Entire contingents were composed of these soldiers from further south. In other words, the recruitment of African men, largely originating in West Africa, became the very backbone of Moorish supremacy, and it safeguarded and secured the intellectual development being established for our enjoyment today. According to Flora Shaw, also known as Lady Lugard, the Moorish invasion initiated the Renaissance in Europe by preserving and translating at much earlier period the great works of the Greeks. They gave a vivifying impulse to all the intellectual life of the West by introducing to it the hoarded knowledge of the East. In mathematics, they imported much from India, amongst other things, the numerals known to us as Arabic numerals, and with them, the advantages of the decimal system. Something special happened during this time in human history, and Africans were certainly actively involved with that. This is why many statues and illustrations depicting Moorish Spain show many Africans, especially those from the interior, because they symbolize the overall power of the Moors. I really think a strong case can be made that this was the origin of why the West romanticized Afro-descendant people in positions of power on European soil. Now, after the Moorish conquest, many Africans from West and Central Africa were taken in droves to the so-called New World as enslaved people. The glory of the Moorish invasion somewhat faded as the new generation of denigrated Africans created a social and psychological theme that we have yet to undo in Western society. And so, the character of the discussion surrounding Africans amongst European royalty may have been altered. These new Africans did not have access to their culture or language or even their history. The only thing they had access to was the society right in front of their eyes, a society that did not accommodate their needs and concerns, and so a complex began to develop within our community. There have been many shows and movies that include Africans in European spaces. Recently, there have been shows on Netflix that highlight this. All of this history and energy, if you will, has been reinvigorated by real events in history, like Meghan Markle marrying Prince Harry, and the rediscovery and celebration of Sophie Charlotte, the Queen Consort of the English King George III of the 18th century, who may have had African ancestry according to one scholar. It's possible that she was the inspiration for one of the characters in the Netflix series Bridgerton, a show that reveals a queen of African descent on the British throne. In a way, these figures can be seen to represent the old Moorish bloodline that occasionally pops up throughout European civilization. And though these people like Meghan Markle or Sophie Charlotte are certainly not Africans, just a dash of Africanness present in European royalty is enough to satisfy the imagination of modern-day Afro-descended people. And like mentioned before, this means something very different from what it may have meant in the past. Though some of this is innocent, I see problems with the way we celebrate these figures. The centering of these historical references in our communities and the shows advanced by popular culture, I think, exposes three things about what we in the diaspora believe about ourselves. The first is that we don't seem to believe in our own agency, exclusive of outside supervision or support. The second is that we don't really value our own culture or civilizations, or that we don't hold them in the same regard. And the third, we outsource our self-esteem, focusing on individual acceptance or assimilation rather than collective empowerment. And it seems clear that these things developed due to the dehumanizing effects of slavery. These three concepts are a trigger point for many people in our community. Some will hold them as true, and others will be vehemently opposed to the idea that these things are actually a thing. In general, the topic of African bloodlines amongst European royalty is interesting, but there seems to be a saturation of this theme in popular culture, as if it's something to aspire to for us. There's nothing wrong with including these stories or even highlighting these figures. The issue is balance, and the fact that we as a people have not really dealt with our collective trauma, and so escapism becomes a way to mask the feelings of worthlessness or void. But I'm interested in hearing what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself, remember your ancestors. Peace.